So grateful to be here and very happy to discuss these incredibly important and hard to talk about topics. He has an incredible backbone and staggering moral fiber. Howie is totally committed, completely ethical, totally admirable. No pressure if you can hear this, but honestly, Howie's a hero to me.
John, you joined us before, and it was pretty incredible kind of testimony you gave, and you devoted your life to advocacy for child trafficking, and even 9/11 truth. Maybe you could explain to us, in the last decade, what do you think the most challenging parts of coming alive on some of these issues have been?
Probably the hardest thing, and it continues, is just realizing that pretty much everything that I was told and taught since I was in grade school is probably not true.
And hello, good evening, and welcome to the Traffic Report Marathon. Yeah, multitasking a little bit, and good evening. And I don't know, I think my camera slipped here. Something happened. So welcome everybody. Right off the bat, it's it's good news, bad news. Tiffany had some internet problems and is having some internet problems right now, and we're not going to be able to have her on. That's the bad news. And the good news is she's going to be on with us tomorrow night. So we will not miss her. More little bad news. John Paul Rice is down with, he's feeling under the weather, and he's on the mend, but we'll probably, I don't think we're going to see him tomorrow, but we will see him. We're going to be doing another marathon, maybe next weekend, to continue reading this report. And I'm going to read some of this report. I'm not going to waste your time. You guys showed up. Yeah, and I got to, I wasn't really going to talk about this because this guy's hardly worth talking about. But since our guests aren't here, anybody that follows the show know we've been dealing ourselves with a convicted child rapist that's been harassing us and trying to make our lives more difficult, which he's really not able to do. But I just gotta share this with you guys and show you what this guy he's under the impression that we watch him 24 hours a day, which we really don't. We make fun of him from now and again, but there's a bunch of people actually through this show that do watch him 24 hours a day, and it came to their attention that he had under an alias, Johnny Rocket, had gotten a job at a local radio station in Portland, Tennessee, WKQR, QKR or something, and that he was advertising for a karate school, and we couldn't even believe it that he would be that stupid, but apparently he is. And he really, what it is he fits the profile of these priests we're talking about. They're serial offenders. They just never give up. They're always trying to get close to children. And we did some investigation of our own and found out he was indeed on the radio and making commercials for a karate school, talking about teaching kids values. And so anyway, through the efforts of several people. He no longer works at that radio station, so that's score one for the universe. But let me show you what he's up to today, because he's under the impression that I personally got him fired. So I want to show you what this guy is posting on his the only thing he has left, which is his crappy Facebook page. So let me just show you this. And as you can see right now, and I'll read it for you if you can't see it. Former fired firefighter John Taylor, host of the YouTube show Traffic Report, now under investigation for allegations of raping 2 little boys in Florida. We will give you a full report as we interview one of the parents making said allegations. If you have information about any other kids that he may have touched, please contact your local authorities ASAP. So, you know, this is his best shot, accusing me of what he's guilty of. And through this process, we got, and it's something else I want to show you here, which is, this is probably more interesting than anything else. He's so stupid, he doesn't know that there are it's called edit histories, okay? And when you when you do a post on Facebook and you change it, your edit history is recorded, and there's nothing you can do to get rid of it. So let's go through the demented mind of this pedophile. He starts out, because he found out, I guess about 4 hours ago, that we knew he got fired from this radio station, and we were kind of making fun of that. And so he starts off with John Taylor is big A child rapist. Then a few seconds later, he changes that to John Taylor is a child rapist with all exclamation points. Now under investigation for raping 2 little boys in Florida. So, and then a couple minutes later, John Taylor, comma, hosted, and see that his spelling is horrendous, and so is his grammar. So he has a hard time even writing anything. So John Taylor, host of the YouTube show, is a child rapist, all caps, now under investigation for raping 2 little boys in Florida. John Taylor, comma, host of the YouTube show Traffic Report, spelled it wrong. It's traffic with a CK mark, is a child rapist, now under investigation. Okay, so he's obviously demented. So he's changing this post like every couple of minutes. And then I guess he thought he would give it more credibility by saying that I was a firefighter, which I was, but I was fired. So he changes it here to former fired firefighter John Taylor, which you know, the only problem is I retired with honors from the City of Stewart Fire Department. And if anybody wants to check that, you can probably still get my personnel file. So and then, you know, I'm still under investigation. So he didn't like that, so he changed some spelling there. Okay, and he's trying to give more credibility to his lie, or he's just so demented that, you know, he's just adding stuff to that. So then he comes up with, we will give you a full report as we interview one of the parents making said allegations. Yeah, because he puts himself forward as some news personality, and go check out his site on Facebook, Mark Connors Show. You can. I told him there's about 10,000 people that follow the Traffic Report, and now they'll know what page to have Facebook taken down. So, all right, so there he goes, former fired firefighter. Yeah, YouTube show. Yeah, he doesn't like the Traffic Report show very much. He actually tried to copy it one time when we started the show. He came out, because he's a con artist. He's trying to get money out of veterans, out of hurricane victims. You know, we documented everything. We basically shut him down on Facebook, which is good. But, you know, like the you know, serial criminal that he is, you can't give up. He doesn't have any alternatives. Okay, so he's giving us a full report. Okay, so this is his last edit 3 hours ago. So he has all that in there. He's going to interview the parents. That'd be a little hard because they don't exist. But if you have information about any other kids that he may have touched, please contact your local authorities ASAP. So, guys, feel free to visit the or Mark Connor show on Facebook and let him know how you feel about his posts. So, at any rate, he has no idea. There's a couple of real heavyweight people that are investigating him now down in that area, and he's not going to like what's coming, and that's good. And we're myself and some of these people are going to be working with local law enforcement and with hopefully the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, because I'm convinced that just through his behavior and the psychological profiles that we do on these predators, that there are other victims out there. So stay tuned. It's always interesting. So and really, even with that going on, we really had a nice Labor Day. Unfortunately, I was talking to Tiffany right up to just about the last minute, and she's a no-go on the internet. And so we'll have her tomorrow. John Paul Rice hopefully will, when he's well, will appear. So all you have is me tonight. Sorry about that, but I'm not going to waste your time. We're going to read some of this report, and let me just check the light them up, Rosie. Oh yeah. There's you know, and I'm going to read this to you to let you know what kind of guy this is, because we're reading indictments and grand jury report. This asshole has an indictment on him that we were supplied with from some of the people that are investigating him. So, and you know, I knew he was a creep. You know, I knew he was a child rapist. But until I read that indictment, I had no idea of how just disgusting, you know, the things he did to this 15-year-old girl, groomed her over a period of, you know, at least a year or more. So, let me read some of that indictment to you. Get that right here. Since we're reading grand jury reports, might as well read that one. Let's see. Oh, and his real name is Mark Raymond Cruz. He goes. That's his fake so-called stage name. He's got the worst singing voice I think I've ever heard, but he plays himself off as a country music star. I'll have to, you know, and just, you know, because I'm in the mood for a little lightheartedness after, you know, how serious yesterday was. I'm going to play you him singing the national anthem to show you how bad he is. But you know, and some of this is and I take the you know, the predator stuff serious as a heart attack, but this guy is such a joke. I can't take him seriously. So let's see. So, and we found out because we had his arrest report and we had his criminal history from Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, but we didn't have this indictment. And he was charged with 3 counts of aggravated statutory rape, pled it down. He must have had a good attorney and got off the sex offender registry and didn't have to go to sex offender class. You know, maybe he should have went. You know, maybe it would have done him some good. So this is the criminal court, state of Tennessee versus Mark Raymond Cruz, the prosecutor Jeffrey Weiser. It's a true bill of the Davidson County grand jury, and we find out that there's 7 counts. You know, and that I don't quite understand. There was 3 charges on the arrest report, but maybe by the time they investigated it, there were, and that makes it even worse for him to be able to plead out and on 7 counts. It's just really ridiculous. So let's see. Let's start reading. 29th day of August, 2007 in Davidson County, Tennessee. And before the finding of this indictment, Mark Raymond Cruz did intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly engage in digital sexual penetration and the victim's name is redacted. At least of a person at least 13, but less than 18. She was 15. And the defendant is at least 10 years older than the victim. He was 46. Think about that. Digital sexual penetration of a 15-year-old. That's what this guy did. And this isn't the girl saying that. This isn't the cop saying that. This is the grand jury indicting him for that. And it's what he was eventually convicted for. Yeah, I'll say in violation of Tennessee code and the number and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Boy, said a mouthful there. All right, so count one. Grand jurors of Davidson County, Tennessee, duly impaneled and sworn upon their oath, present that Mark Raymond Cruz on the 4th day of September, 2007, in Davidson County, Tennessee, and before the finding of this indictment, did intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly engage in oral sexual penetration of that victim between 13 but less than 18. And he's 46, 10 years old. That's what makes it aggravated statutory rape. Let's see. All right, then we move on to count three. Same grand jurors, 11th day of November, 2000. So this is occurring on different days. Different times. Same thing. Oh, and again, digital penetration of a person at least 13, but less than 18. That's count three. Count four. Same thing, 11th day of November, 2007. Recklessly engaged in oral sexual penetration of the victim. It's unbelievable. This guy's even walking around. All right, so here's an affidavit of the victim in the case, what she swore to in front of a grand jury. And he actually came on Facebook and gave this big sob story about how he was trying to help these girls and how their father did this. No. So let's listen. The victim hasn't had a chance to speak. Let's speak for her. Personally appeared before me, the undersigned, Metropolitan General Sessions Judge, prosecutor. Let's see. Okay. Probable cause to believe that did have sexual contact with the victim. The victim was 16 years old at this time, and the defendant was 46 at the time of the incident. On the date listed, the defendant digitally penetrated the victim and had the victim perform oral sex on him. Probable cause is as follows. The victim met the defendant this past summer at a cowboy town where the defendant was employed. The defendant was hired to give the victim horseback riding lessons, and the victim was eventually hired by a cowboy town. So he got her a job. He's grooming this little 15-year-old girl. And these offenses happened when she was 15 all the way to when she was 16. The defendant then would tell the victim that he wanted to manage her singing career by portraying himself as being connected in the music business. He's not. He's a fringe. He knows a few people, but now even they know who he is. The defendant became romantically interested in the victim and would tell her he loved her and wanted to marry her. That's what these predators do. More grooming. On the date listed, the defendant took the victim to a secluded area on his property, that property, it wasn't his property, and began kissing the victim and pulled the victim's pants down and digitally penetrated the victim's vagina with his fingers. The defendant then had the victim perform oral sex on him. And that's just one of the affidavits. God, you know, and this is so disgusting that I can't even read any more of it. But believe me, there's more. And the point of this is that we need to recognize these pedophiles that are living amongst us and hiding in plain sight. And this predator really thought that he was going to open up a karate school. And I'll have to get the commercial, because some of the people that are keeping an eye on him they record everything he does. They have his you know, and they have that commercial. And he's talking in the commercial about kids having a hard time in school, being bullied, and he's going to you know, teach them about respect and dignity and all these values that he obviously doesn't possess, you know. So and I think we're going to do a show just on him called How to Catch a Predator. And there's a lot of things that are still in the works that I really don't want to affect, and I don't think I could affect, because these are very serious people that are you know, going after him now. But when that all comes to a head, we'll have an ending to the story. And I hope that ending is that I'm convinced that there are other victims out there, because he sure fits the profile. Same profile as these priests we're talking about, you know. What did we see? The stuff we're reading yesterday. Keeps trying to get around kids. Keeps trying to get around kids. Why? So we'll keep you up to date on that one. And I don't want to, you know, dwell on that, because he really deserves very little time. But, you know, we take it seriously, and we've agreed to help the people that are, you know, trying to, you know, prevent him from reoffending, and to find out if there's any victims there. So we will do that until, you know, as long as we're on this side of the grass. Johnny Rocket. So, all right, let's move on. Let me see if you guys got, I'm sure you have a few comments in the chat room. Yeah. Yeah, Breeze, and she's in here, and Breeze tore him a new one. And thank you. I've known her for a long time. She's known this guy for a long time. You know, we both had the misfortune of coming in contact with him when we thought he was doing something good. I mean, we had no idea he was a convicted felon. You know, so Breeze and I have been friends for a long time, and she's the best. You know, so Allison Faye's another one. So yeah. Oh, but we learned. Yeah, we sure did. We sure did. And you know, it just gets worse and worse. I mean, and you know, doing this work, you know, what he doesn't realize, he keeps kicking a hornet's nest of about 10,000-15,000 people. Yeah, but that's the psychological profile. That's what they do. They can't, you know, it's not curable. So, and my biggest concern is that there's either somebody that he would victimize in the future, or is victimizing now, or has, and they just haven't come forward, because we know that happens all the time. But trust me, there's some very competent people that have some eyes on him, and you know, he has no idea what's coming next, and it ain't gonna be pleasant. and it's lawful, and it's overdue. So yeah, he doesn't have to worry about his personal safety, but you know, I'm not sure if he's going to be free to walk around, you know, without an ankle bracelet or something, an ankle monitor. So at any rate, enough about him. And yeah, that's the sad part, because there's some good people that still, you know, pay attention to him and think that you know, they can see some crap like that on his wall and actually believe that that's possible. And you know, we know these predators. They accuse people that are outing them of what they do. And I guess you know, I mean, read the indictment, read the arrest report, read the TBI report. He is a convict. He's a convicted felon. So that's what it says. And I don't need to defend myself. You know, my actions speak for me. So I don't worry about, you know, little turds like that. So, but yeah, we'll just make sure that he doesn't hurt any more children. We will make sure on. So that's yeah, you get to hear 2 grand jury reports tonight, and I'm going to go for about another 30 minutes, and we covered a lot of ground. And Tiffany is going to read some of this with us tomorrow. She's just awesome, Hollywood writer. Just, you know, said to hell with this career. I could give a damn. And she's been speaking out on you know, pedophilia and the just messed up culture of Hollywood. So she's just amazing. So is John Paul Rice. He's one of the new directors, the new Hollywood, new filmmaker that's you know, has the potential to actually make Hollywood something good again, you know. So that's all in the future. Wednesday night, we're going to have Jessica Scanlon with part 2 of her story about St. Joe's Carondelet. That all ties in with the Pennsylvania report on the Catholic priests. There are several other investigations going on. The entire country of Chile has just raided the Catholic churches down there for all these documents. And if I know Chile, the way they operate down there, there might be somebody in front of firing squads, you know. Yeah. So John Paul, yeah, Rosie, yeah. So let's read a little bit. We got finished with. Let me look at the. Got to know this thing by heart. Yeah, we finished with Erie, and I think we were starting with Greensburg. And before I even start, there's, and we tweeted about this today. There's some really good. One of the guys in this report, Cardinal Wunsch, I think is his name. I just can't remember his name, but he was one of the bigwigs in this report that covered up the sexual abuse. He was saying mass in Washington D.C. He's now the head of the Archdiocese in Washington D.C. And somebody stood up and called him out in the middle of mass, that's you know. That's what Howie has been trying to get people to do for 2 years. So that's very encouraging to see. And all of us can do that. That's been the message of the show. Anybody can do, you know, what Howie does. Anybody can do what I do. You know, we're certainly not professionals, but you know, it's going to take every one of us. So let's see. Scrolling down, and we got through over. Yeah, no, let's see if I can do this any faster. All right, that was a little quicker. No, yeah, I don't think we got this far. I was hoping we did, but doesn't look like we did. Now we'll put this up, and the link to this report is in the show notes. There's also another link that I wanted to tell you about that's also in there. It's the Pennsylvania Attorney General's website. You can download this report there. There's a hotline that you can report cases of abuse on. That's the most important thing. And there are many victims out there, as this report states, that haven't come forward yet. So. And they also have survivor stories on there. All right, here we go. So we'll get through as much of this as we can in an hour. And you know, I'm finding out that you can only do so much of this before you just have to take a break, because it's pretty dark stuff. And thank you to everybody that helped Snake on here yesterday. Trish Negron, she was awesome. Okay, yeah, there we go. That's where we got. So let me put this up for you. All right. So Greensburg, and that would be this little area down here. Not a big diocese. Where do you see this report? Or not? Yeah, not a big diocese. All right, so let me move this over so I can read. All right, the Roman Catholic Diocese of Greensburg was canonically erected. That's canon law. Created it March 10th, 1951 by Pope Pius XII. Diocese oversees Armstrong, Fayette, Indiana, and Westmoreland counties in Pennsylvania. As of 2017, the population of Catholics living within the Diocese of Greensburg was 137,641, which constituted approximately 21% of the total population in the diocese geographic region. The Greensburg Diocese consists of 78 parishes, 14 elementary schools, 2 junior-senior high schools, and a school for children of all ages with intellectual and/or developmental disabilities. Listen to that, okay? Because these type of schools, this is what Jessica Scanlon is talking about. That was Carondelet Child Center. It was a school for all ages with intellectual and/or developmental disabilities, okay? And that's where they were raping the kids, and they were grooming the kids that they weren't raping, doing experiments on them. Has approximately 100 clergy members, including active, retired, international priests, as well as permanent deacons. All right, so here's a list of the wall of shame. These are the bishops of the Diocese of Greensburg. And remember, at the beginning of the report, they have all engaged in a criminal conspiracy to perpetuate child rape. Every last one of them. All right, Bishop Hugh Lamb, 1952 through 59. Bishop William Canary, 1960 through 1987. So he aided and abetted a lot of child rape. Auxiliary Bishop Norman Gagan, I think, and I think he had some problems. 77 through 84. Bishop Anthony Bosco, 87 through 204. And one of them, Bishop E, I'm going to find out because we can find out. Bishop E had his name redacted, okay? But guess what? We can find out who that is. We can find out, and I am Kelly, and Kelly Fustos will find out who that guy's name is. It's been redacted by the Supreme Court because he doesn't feel he should be in a grand jury report. Well, guess what? We're going to find out just who that is. And he's the bishop after Bosco and before Malesic. Okay, so Malesic, that just occurred to me. Edward Malesic came in 2015 to present. And all right, additional church leadership within the Diocese of Greensburg relevant to the grand jury investigation. Grand jury finds that the following church leaders, while not bishops, played an important role in the Diocese of Greensburg's handling of allegations and pre-sexual abuse. And what that should say, in my mind, is they engaged in and assisted, aided and abetted in the criminal conspiracy of raping children. So Father Roger Stanek, Father Lorenzo Persico. Ooh, yeah. Now that, see, and he's the head of the Erie diocese now, and he's the only one that showed up in person to the grand jury. So I gave him props for that. But looks like, you know, maybe he learned his lesson. I don't know, but he seems to be the most forthcoming out of any of the heads of these dioceses, and I'd really like to talk to him. I'm still going to try to. I talked to one of his assistants. But so Monsignor Thomas Cleansing, findings of the grand jury. The grand jury uncovered evidence of child sexual abuse committed by a number of priests of the Diocese of Greensburg. The Forms of abuse discovered included grooming, and the fondling of genitals and or intimate body parts, as well as penetration of the vagina, mouth, and or anus. The evidence showed that the diocesan administrators, including bishops, had knowledge of this conduct and regularly permitted priests to continue in ministry after becoming aware that a complaint of child sexual abuse had been made against them. This conduct enabled the offenders and endangered the welfare of children. Evidence also showed that the diocese made settlements with the victims and had discussions with lawyers regarding the sexual abuse of children by its priests. These settlements often contained confidentiality agreements forbidding the victims from speaking about such abuse under the threat of some penalty, such as legal action to recover previously paid settlements funds. Because it's all about the money, right? Finally, the grand jury received evidence of the diocesan. I gotta find out how to pronounce that word. I think I'm massacring it. Administrators, including bishops, dissuaded victims from reporting abuse to law enforcement. Meanwhile, the diocese regularly failed to independently investigate allegations of child sexual abuse in order to avoid scandal and possible civil and criminal liability on behalf of the diocese accused priests. And diocesan, I think it's diocesan. Let's try it that way. Leadership. To the extent an investigation was conducted by the diocese, it was too often deficient and biased and did not result in reporting credible allegations of crimes against children to the proper authorities or otherwise faithfully respond to the abuse which was uncovered. All right, here are the offenders. And Snake Plissken did a great job in reading these names. You could really, that roll call that he did yesterday. And Trish too, I believe, did. All right, number 1, Father Dennis Della Malva. 2, Father Greg Floor. 3, Father Charles B. Guth. 4, Father Francis Lesniak. 5, Father Raymond Lukac. 6, Father Henry J. Marcinek. 7, Greenberg Priest number 1. Well, I'd like to find out who that guy is. But it doesn't even say that's redacted, so I think that was the diocese that didn't report who this guy's name was. I wonder if he was a bishop. Father Robert Mosliner, Father Fabian G. Orris. 10, Edmund Paracow. 11, Father George R. Pierce. 12, Father Gregory Promasius. 13, Father Thomas W. Rogers. 14, Father Leonard Sinisi. 15, Father Roger A. Sinclair. 16, Reverend Joseph L. Sredzinski. 17, Father John T. Sweeney. God, good Irishman doing this stuff. 18, Reverend Joseph Anthony Tamakowski. 19, Father George J. Trott. 20, Father Charles Weber, OSB. Wow, he had a title. I don't even know what that stands for. So for a small little diocese, there's 20 of them. Examples of institutional failure. So the case study for this diocese are Fathers Edmund Paracow, Raymond Lukac, and Robert Mosliner. The grand jury notes the following examples of child sexual abuse perpetrated by priests within the Diocese of Greensburg. These examples further highlight the wholesale institutional failure that endangered the welfare of children throughout the Pennsylvania diocese, including the Diocese of Greensburg. These examples are not meant to be exhaustive. Rather, they provide a window into the conduct of past Pennsylvania bishops and the crimes they permitted to occur on their watch. And, what that says to me is these cases are nothing special. Okay, so all 20 could be just as bad. And the ones that we've read are just unbelievable. So, hey, Harry. Oh, the little rat's running for cover. Yeah, I guess. That's, I call Harry the NSA. So, yeah. Good job, guys. You got the little rat to go to ground. So, but it won't help him. I wonder if he liked me reading his indictment. So thanks, Harry. All right. So the case of, and thank you, Harry does a tremendous amount of work in keeping track of offenders. Let's just put it that way. All right. The case of Father Edmund Paracow, known assignments, Catholic University, 68, Assumption Catholic Church, Tuckahoe, New York, 69, 68, 69, 69, 73, St. Peter's of Yonkers, New York. So he was a New York guy, and then he got bounced out to Philadelphia, apparently. 85, Servants of the Paraclete, Jemez Springs, New Mexico. So he got banished there. We remember Servants of the Paraclete. They were watching that other guy who went out there and reoffended. So wow. Well, and this is a system, and I've said this before, and the grand jury, I don't want to take too much issue, but they're calling this a systemic failure. It's not a failure, it's a success. This system was designed to do this, and it was very successful until it got outed. So now it's not so successful, but it's an institutional failure. It's the whole. I don't know. So that's just me. Yeah. So then so they bounced him out of New Mexico, and Greensburg says, okay, we'll take him. So he's been from New York, bounced out to New Mexico, where they send these rapist priests, and then I guess they say that he's cured, and they bring him back into Greensburg, and evidently he continues to do the same thing throughout Pennsylvania, and then he goes back to they kick him back to New York. Oh, he's on leave, so he got caught again in '89, and then there's his request to be defrocked, and he didn't make it. Probably the bishop in New York had to make it. So this guy is a serial offender, obviously, and they all are. All right. So he was ordained, raised in New York City, June 1st, 68, at St. Patrick's Cathedral at age 28. Thereafter spent 17 years serving in various parishes within the Archdiocese of New York. Some point during his assignment to the parish of St. Martin of Tours, Bronx, New York, and St. Thomas Aquinas High School, complaints related to the sexual abuse of children were made against him. While records within the Diocese of Greensburg regarding Paracow's alleged misconduct in the Archdiocese of New York were somewhat limited, Paracow's Greenberg diocesan, that word, by next show, I'm going to know how to pronounce it. Diocesan file indicated a complaint was made against him around the beginning of 1985 by a man alleging he was sexually abused by Paracow 15 years prior when he was a teenage boy, known as Victim 1. This abuse allegation appears to have prompted the Archdiocese of New York to arrange for Paracow to receive counseling with a Father Benedict. During the first months of '85, Paracow underwent an intensive evaluation at St. Bernardine Clinic in Sweetland, Maryland, in May 1985, which resulted in his referral for inpatient treatment at the Foundation House operated by the Servants of Paraclete in New Mexico. Yeah, that's where they sent the other guy. Okay, and you can bet this. If one guy came forward, you can bet there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 that this guy abused that didn't come forward. I'm talking about numbers. Foundation House was a facility that provided evaluations and treatment for priests accused of sexual abuse of children or other improper acts. According to a memorandum dated February 20th, 1985, Monsignor Cleansing of the Diocese of Greensburg to Bishop William Canary, an inquiry was received from the Archdiocese of New York asking if Paracow could be accepted. Yeah, so they want to get rid of him, So New York, and hopefully there'll be a grand jury investigation of the Archdiocese of New York, and then we'll get all those records. So New York's trying to get rid of him. For the next 3 or 4 months, the initial request from the New York Archdiocese included information that Paracow was undergoing counseling at the time, but they assured Greensburg that there are no unusual psychological problems, but that Father Paracow needs time to sort out his problems. Okay, so this is one group of criminals trying to work a con on another group of criminals. Okay, so they know he's abusing kids in New York. That's what the complaint said. Okay. But they're telling Greensburg no unusual psychological problems. I guess they consider that normal. Wow. Wow. Return to sender. Yeah, good one, Karen. You gotta keep a little, a little humor in this because it's so grim. So yeah, they tried to send. They should have sent him back to God. There's a few different ways to do that too. So anyway, series of interviews. Tests upon his arrival. He admitted to having molested approximately 35 male children over the previous 17 years. He had served as a priest. He was 45 years old at the time. So this is his estimate, 35. You can double that. Paracow indicated his preferred victims around the age of 15 or 16. Boy, that sounds familiar. And admitted to having engaged in sexual touching, mutual masturbation, mutual fellatio, and mutual anal intercourse. Yeah, right. Paracow further stated that he thought sex with a girl was sinful. Oh, so he raped boys. Sex with a child was not violating them. It was doing something to them externally. Wow, need to tweet that quote out. Thought that sex with a girl was sinful and that sex with a child was not violating them. It was doing something to them externally. That's what we're talking about. That is this mindset, this predatory sickness that these people have. And they believe that. The doctor who conducted the July 27, 1985 interview with Paracow reached the following conclusion. My impression is that he certainly has pedophilia. Really? There is absolutely no doubt in my mind. The real issue with treating him is going to be giving him insight and helping to motivate him to change his behavior. Gee, a jail cell might have done that, but of course they're not going to call the cops. That might have been some motivation. I'm not sure the level of motivation that is within him right now. Basically, if he had not got caught, he would be continuing the behavior without really thinking that it was really not that harmful. Yeah, you're damn right. And there is no treatment for this. We've seen that time again. The treatment for it is a jail cell. While Paracow was undergoing treatment at Foundation House, letters were exchanged between Archdiocese and New York and Greensburg. He'd be granted ministry, so they figure, okay, we'll take this guy. We've got a bunch of other ones. We might as well take him too. October 7th, 85, Canary wrote to Reverend Henry Mansell, Vice Chancellor for Priest Personnel at the Archdiocese of New York. He must have owed him one, and indicated he'd be happy to help Father Paracow with an assignment. After his release from Foundation House, October 85, Mansell responded with a letter of gratitude, and I bet probably a case of bourbon, and agreed to facilitate an exchange of information regarding Paracow's time in New Mexico. Specifically, in his October 7th letter, Canary requested a complete report on that treatment and his needs so that we can consider his needs when the time for an appointment draws near. Mansell later assured Canary that the Greensburg Diocese would be provided with a complete report on his treatment and needs. That's a lie. I could spot that right now. Okay, but we'll see. While Paracow's complete records from Foundation House, including those pertaining to his interview when he confessed to having sexually abused 35 boys, were sent from Foundation House to the Archdiocese of New York, the records of the Diocese of Greensburg do not reflect whether this information was provided by New York to Greensburg. And I would bet it wasn't. Okay. But that wouldn't have stopped Greensburg from requesting it from the facility. For instance, according to a letter sent by Paracow to Canary on December 9th, Paracow was including with his letter several progress reports pertaining to his treatment at Foundation House. These progress reports only addressed his general participation in various programs and did not include any details of his prior sexual abuse. Of course not. He's a predator. He's not going to out himself. In a confidential memorandum dated 11th December 1985, prepared by Canary, that was held within the secret archives of the Diocese of Greensburg. Canary acknowledged the receipt of a progress report sent with Paracow's December 9th letter. In this confidential memorandum, Canary documented that although the official reason offered for Paracow's stay at Foundation House was burnout due to his teaching experience, Jesus, euphemisms, he was informed during a telephone conversation with Father Isaias that the reason Paracow was dispatched to New Mexico was a complaint of sexual abuse committed by Paracow on a teenage boy 15 years prior. Canary noted that the victim was older and unbalanced and had been contacting the Archdiocese of New York about. Yeah, I'm sure he was unbalanced. He got raped by this asshole. Canary further remarked in his confidential memorandum that he spoke with Paracow about the matter, and Paracow confirmed he was sent to Foundation House because of the accusation. Didn't tell him about the 35 other ones. There is no indication, however, Paracow revealed to Canary his complete history of sexual abuse. In response to learning about the complaint against Paracow, Canary wrote the following: "From my interview with Father Ed, it would seem that his problem is in the past." Oh, yeah, right. It would also seem that from the program at Foundation House, he's come a long way in discovering his own nature and personality. No, including implications of sexuality. He realized he must limit contacts with young people and work on developing patterns of mature conduct. Wow. So let's see if Canary's attempting to do. Okay, and I guess this guy is trying to do the right thing, and he doesn't have all the information. Let's see. Okay, so Foundation House tells Canary, directly warned not to assign him to a parish that had a school, and recommended he be assigned with at least one other priest. So the Catholic treatment center that's basically crooked is still warning him, don't put him around kids. And you know, even if they don't children go to churches? What about that? Let's see. Let's see. Cleansing responded to the director's letter of warning and advised that the Diocese of Greensburg would not be able to abide by. So that the diocese writes back to the treatment center and says, sorry, we're not going to be able to abide by what you're telling us about this predator. As Bishop Canary previously stated, this is the letter, he is more than willing to have Father Paracow serve in the Diocese of Greensburg in the pastoral ministry while on leave from the Archdiocese of New York. However, the bishop does not feel he can comply with your suggestion that Father Paracow be assigned in a parish setting that does not have a school. The Archdiocese of Greensburg is made up of many parishes with between 600 and 900 families, and these parishes usually have a small parochial school attached. The parish school usually has under 200 students. Oh, yeah, so it shouldn't be a problem. The bishop feels that asking Father Paracow to accept an assignment, he would have to place him in such a parish. So they know they're this is a center they send these animals to for help of some kind. They're telling them, don't put them next to kids. Say, sorry, we can't, we can't abide by that. We have too many schools. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. How about sending his ass back to New York? I guess that never crossed their mind. So there's the letter. All right. Shortly after Canary's interview with Paracow, Paracow completed his tenure. Oh, he graduated from Foundation House. Archdiocese of New York, consent and approval. Go into ministry. Yeah, it's somebody else's problem. Go to Greensburg. Between December 11th and July 86, Paracow was not assigned to a single parish, but rather aided various parishes in the diocese. So they're moving them around. May 14th, 86, Paracow wrote a letter from St. Procopius Parish in New Salem, Fayette County, thanking Canary for his acceptance and expressing his satisfaction with his involvement in parish ministry. Paracow also spent a short time at Holy Family Catholic Church in Latrobe, Westmoreland County, in early months of 1986. July 1st, 86, he received his first formal appointment with the diocese when he was appointed parochial vicar of St. Pius X Catholic Church in Mount Pleasant, Westmoreland County. Throughout his assignments, Paracow regularly had contact with Catholic schools. Nice job. All right, so here we go. Served in the diocese until 1989 when a complaint was made against him regarding inappropriate contact he had with a 7th grader at Holy Trinity Catholic School located in Mount Pleasant. That's victim 2. Paracow, see, I don't like the way they, that's not victim 2. That's probably victim 37, or whatever it is. Paracow had been tasked with instructing victim 2 in the faith and upcoming sacraments. According to internal diocesan records, on February 13th, cleansing met with the child's parents and was informed that from the outset of their son's involvement with Paracow was verbally abusive towards them and accused them of abusing and harming their son. Wow, that sounds familiar. So the pedophile is accusing the parents. They stated that Paracow was overprotective of their child and interfering with their child's life, and since his involvement with Paracow, victim 2's performance in school had suffered. They described victim 2's experience with Paracow had been extremely bad for him. That was putting it mildly. Situation escalated during an incident in which victim 2 was taken to the emergency room because of an illness. Victim 2's parents were with him at the hospital. Paracow entered the treatment room, insulted the parents, and began to touch victim 2 on his face, hands, and chest while he lay on the emergency room bed. A violent argument ensued with the boy's father. Boy, that'd have been more than an argument if that was me. Paracow called victim 2's home that evening, inquiring about the boy, and appeared at the hospital the next day, which terrified and petrified victim 2. Meanwhile, in January of '89, Paracow requested him. Oh, he did the right thing. Requested incarnation with the Diocese of, or no. Okay. So he's meaning he would formally be transferred. Oh no. So yeah, he's requesting that it becomes a permanent part of Greensburg. He likes it there. Request prompted the disclosure of Paracow's full records from the Archdiocese of New York. So now they dump it on Greensburg. Included his complete records from Foundation House, which included his admission to having molested approximately 35 male children while he served as a priest. And how many now? That was 5 years prior. Well, we know it's 36 anyway. The same time these records were being disclosed in the first weeks of February '89, a complaint involving victim 2 was received by the diocese. On February 6, '89, Bishop Anthony Bosco notified Lawrence Connaughton, Vice Chancellor for Priest Personnel at New York. His concern over the incident with victim 2 and his parents. Bosco stated he had relieved Paracow of his assignment. Oh, no, don't do that. And would not provide him any further assignments. So now they're going to send his ass back to New York. He should have done that to begin with. On February 22nd, 1989, Cleansing wrote a memorandum to Bosco stating, Father Connaughton asked if there were any incidents because he's worried about legal ramifications. Don't be worried about the 40 kids that he raped. Are there any legal ramifications? I told him we have suspicions, but no hard evidence. Apparently, an undated note in Paracow's file appeared to confirm that the Diocese of Greensburg had engaged in no meaningful supervision of Paracow since his arrival in '86. The note stated, we have not and cannot supervising. According to the correspondence between New York and Greensburg in '03, Paracow resided in the Greensburg Diocese but did not engage in any priestly activities between 1989 and 2003. Left him a lot of time to be molesting kids, outside of that atmosphere. I'm sure he had a car. And the church was probably paying for the car. In '04, Paracow consented to laicization. I think that's defrocking, and was formally removed from the priesthood of the Roman Catholic Church. Wow. All right. And I'm going to stop right there. And where we'll begin again tomorrow is we get to hear from victim 2. So that is just tough stuff. So All right. I see by the old clock on the wall, we have completed an hour, and checking in the chat room. Thank you, everybody that stayed with us. I know that it's as hard for you to hear as it is for me to read. So thank you for holding my hand through this process. I really appreciate it. And tomorrow night, Tiffany, God willing, in the river, river don't rise and the internet is behaving, we'll have Tiffany to get through some more of this information. And we're going to get through the entire report. We're going to keep doing these marathons and shows until we've read every word in this report. So thanks, guys. Thank you, Rosie, Karen. Bailey's got to be there somewhere, maybe. Breeze, Anna. Did you guys know that Anna's from Sweden? And she has watched just about every minute of this marathon. So big ups to Anna and Rosie. And thank you, Breeze. Yeah, and I feel it. Meredith, Patricia. Don't want to leave anybody out. Karen O. Meredith. I'm probably repeating myself. Nancy Carrasco. Harry Brogan. Good Irishman. He's a good Irishman. All right. I don't think I missed any. And Breeze, you know who is. Oh, yeah, Johnny Rocket. Thank you to Johnny Rocket for being here. Heard you got fired. Cindy Burrell. Lisa Warren. Thank every one of you. And we'll see you tomorrow night. And I think it's around 5 also. So I'll get a little thing out. But thanks, guys. Appreciate this, and it's making a difference. I mean, the Cardinal of Washington D.C. got his ass called out in the middle of mass. That is awesome. So this is making a difference. So we'll see you tomorrow night. God bless, and I love you all. Good night.